Hello everyone, I'm called Angela Anyonjere, and I'm a trainer student with Hungary Leaf and Farming Academy, Denmark. We are undergoing the training for sheep and goat production. And so far we have done the basics, and now we have finished the advanced level in sheep production. The advanced level lectures were a bit deeper and more commercialized as compared to the basic level. For example, we had several topics, but the major were feeding the sheep. How do you feed the sheep? Are you using store-bought feed? Are you grazing? Then there were issues to do with breeding. How do you breed for your specific goal? Be it wool production, be it production of meat, both very key aspects. How do you select for breeding? For your breeding goal, first of all, how do you set a breeding goal? That was new information. Then, how do you select to achieve that breeding goal without focusing on only one aspect? For example, you are looking at meat production, which is common here. Now, how are you going to set your breeding goal? It can't only be just about meat. You also have to look at other important factors like health, the lamb vitality, um, other aspects that may be like twinning, which has a low heritability but very important. So we also looked at that. How do you set your breeding targets? How do you breed for those targets? So that was very interesting for me. We looked at several other lectures. Then even wool, if you're breeding for wool, let us say that you're considering wool as part of your commercial products. How do you breed for wool? Okay, and we'll look at the different types of wool. For example, the hairs, primarily hairs and secondary hairs. The ones which are very important are the under the secondary. And then after you have produced this wool, you've shared your animal, how do you grade it? Grading is important because when you're grading the wool, you are able to sell the value of each properly. You grade them into different categories for the prices that it will bring. And that's very important for a farmer who is in business because you need to get the most you can out of your enterprise. Very interesting also were the genetics of wool. The colors of the sheep, how are they genetically coded? And in this, we learned that what you see, which is the phenotype, is a combination of both the genotype and the environment. So the characteristics you can see, for example, you want animals with a light color of wool, is not just based on genes alone, but you have to look at the other hidden genes that you're seeing. The phenotype is not the only thing that determines. Sometimes when you're crossing animal, some genes are dominant and they are seen, but they are carrying other recessive genes. So when you inbreed them, you realize that other colors are coming in that you didn't like. And then when it comes to breeding as well, we looked at the different types of breeding, the line breeding, the cross breeding, and how you can manipulate this to get the breed that you're looking for, or how can you create your own breed. For example, for you, you're interested in animals which are meat producing. You're looking at the sheep to produce meat, and so you're looking for those qualities that maybe the buyer wants. How do you create your own line of animals that is going to give you that characteristic that you're looking for, which is the line breeding? And then we look at also the cross breeding. So when you to avoid inbreeding, you sometimes crossbreed, and then to get that heterogeneous nature of genes outside, you don't enter into the dangerous aspect of inbreeding. Another key aspect covered in this part of the training was the feeding. When you're feeding your sheep, how do you feed it? What ratios are you supposed to consider? If you're feeding on the pastures, how are you going to manage that? How are you going to make sure that your pastures are not depleted or your pastures are not underused? And also, how will you make sure that your pastures are free of parasites? interesting part of that was also the formulation of hay and silage, because both things, first of all, preserve feed for times when there is scarcity. For example, the dry seasons when there's no feed, but also they give you a parasite-free feed and they clean out your pastures. Also, a new aspect that we got to know about in these lectures, a clean pasture. So we want to limit the number of parasites that we have. And then when you consider store-bought feed for your animals, you must consider several aspects. Make sure that the composition is what you need, which are the minimums of the nutrients, which are the maximums that you're feeding your animals. Are there precautions, for example, which animals cannot access it? How are you going to store your feed? Also, when you use store-bought feed, in case of any adverse reactions, how do you react with that? So this was a very interesting, with in-depth explanations about the different aspects which we had lightly covered in the beginning, and now we are going in deeper, and especially looking at how a commercial farmer should handle all the various aspects when they are rearing sheep for a specific purpose. Thank you.